Hello and welcome to Cinemondo Grrls Edition, basically women talking about films. Who doesn't love that?
That's right. We know we're old. Thank you, YouTube. I've never felt more beautiful.
Women with
Girls.
opinions.
Yay.
So I'm going to hand this over to Lara to say the title of this one. This is a new trailer.
Okay.
She's like, no thanks.
No, that's great. So this is Pathonpatham Noottandu.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
Very well done.
Sounds like a fantastic film. Can't wait.
I know. Again, we don't really try and get too much detail about these when they come out because we want to see if the trailer tells the story or not, and whether it communicates to us as viewers, whether it's something we want to see, and clearly who the stars are in the storyline. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't.
Western cinema, they literally spoil their own films in the first 3 seconds of trailer. So I will say that I very much appreciate both not being able to understand the title of most of these and going in totally cold, like even tonally, like I'm not sure what genre we're working with. So it's fun. It really is a fun way to hop in.
I know it's kind of like, okay, here you go, guess.
A mystery box. And then we got it. Okay.
I know. The only thing I know about it, I think it takes place in 19th century Kerala, India. So we'll see. I don't know much about that history at all. So this will be kind of interesting overall. So let's take a look at this thing. I'm dying to see it. Okay, you guys ready?
Ready.
Here we go.
ക്ഷേത്രാരാധനയ്ക്കോ ക്ഷേത്രപ്രവേശനത്തിനോ അനുവാദമില്ലാത്ത താണജാതിക്കാർ ക്ഷേത്രം നിർമ്മിച്ച് വിഗ്രഹം പ്രതിഷ്ഠിക്കുന്നത് വധശിക്ഷ പോലും ലഭിക്കാവുന്ന കുറ്റവും നിയമലംഘനവുമാണ്. അപ്പൊ നീയാണ് അടവുകൾ ചുവത്തിപ്പെണ്ണെന്ന് അങ്ങേലി.
Gotta love it. Low bred women.
Me too.
Girl, get it. What? I gotta see this.
ഇത് തിരുവിതാംകൂറിന്റെ അഭിമാനത്തിന്റെ പ്രശ്നമാണ്. എനിക്കറിയേണ്ടത് വേലായുധന്റെ അഭിപ്രായമാണ്. കൊച്ചുണ്ണിയെ നേരിടാനുള്ള കരുത്ത് ശേഖവർക്കുണ്ടോ?
നീചജാതിക്കാർക്ക് ദർശിക്കാൻ പോലും അനുവാദമില്ലാത്ത ഈശ്വരന്റെ ആഭരണങ്ങൾ അതേ ജാതിപ്പെട്ട വേലായുധനെ കൊണ്ട് വീണ്ടെടുക്കുക എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ സ്പർശനം കൊണ്ടുള്ള ആ അശുദ്ധി ഒരു പാപകർമ്മമാകും. മാറുമറച്ചു നടക്കുന്ന കീഴ്ജാതി പെണ്ണുങ്ങളുടെയും ഇലക്കരമടക്കാത്തവരുടെയും മുര രണ്ടും മാത്രം.
I'm sorry, what?
തലയറുപ്പുകളാനുള്ള ഉത്തരവ് ഇറങ്ങിയിട്ടുണ്ടെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞേക്കും.
പക്ഷെ അധികാരമുണ്ടെന്ന് വെച്ച് മനുഷ്യരെ ഇങ്ങനെ പോലെ കാണരുത്. കഴുമരം എന്ന് മഹാരാജാവ് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോ തന്നെ കുഞ്ഞുപിള്ള ഭയന്ന് നിറച്ചു അല്ലേ? ഇന്ന് രാത്രി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നാളെ രാത്രി എന്തായാലും അത് നടന്നു.
ജാതിക്കാരെ പെണ്ണുങ്ങളുടെ മുളമറയ്ക്കാനും അവരെ മുണ്ടുടിപ്പിക്കാനും നടക്കുന്ന പോലെ കൊച്ചുണ്ണിലെടുത്ത് വരരുത്. തല്ലിക്കൊന്നി കാട്ടിൽ കെട്ടിത്തൂക്കും ഞാൻ.
മാർമറച്ചാൽ മുലയേരി, ഉടവി കൊടുത്താൽ കാലേരി. ഇങ്ങനെ ജീവിക്കുന്നതിലും ഭേദം മരണമാണ്. അടിയൻ ദേഹത്തോട്ട് അശുദ്ധമാക്കിയെങ്കിൽ പുണ്യഹം കഴിച്ച് കേട്ടോ.
ഇന്നു മുതൽ നീ വേലായുധ ചേകവരല്ല, വേലായുധ പണിക്കരാണ്.
Fighting in the rain.
It's always good.
It's always good.
Holy shit. That
You guys.
that kind of blew me away a little
happening.
bit. Shit. I think I'm realizing Malayalam films are some of my favorites. There's something about them. They're just grr. They're just grr.
Yeah, there was some grit to
They're
that.
very, very dramatic. Just
Oh my god.
on all fronts.
Really dramatic and kind of more down in it, like it had a little bit of this grandeur, like a little bit of almost Telugu feeling of the palaces and all the wardrobe. And then they go down to the lower caste, which is all of a sudden we get into the Malayalam feel of something really gritty and dramatic and very strong and fierce. And that girl, I loved her. Girl.
Okay. Lots of notes on this lady. I dig it all. I want an action figure. She can have a spinoff that's her own. I'll be there, front row. I mean, it's been a minute since we've seen like a badass lady kind of take front and center on one of these. So I'm down. I love a period piece. I love a female action star. This has a lot of pros for me. I'll be seeing this one.
And the Siju Wilson, he looked great. Like I loved like his styling with that
man bun was so
good. Like looked so intense. He looked super cool. And I guess he's probably the one who's going to help them rise up because he looked like he was the leader of the lower cast.
I do have a question for put it in the comments. Let us know because I really am curious. Do you recommend like for 3 Western women to see a film like this that is based on a true story? I love it based on the true story too. So I'm like digging that. Like how large is the grain of salt we should take while watching this? Because I'm someone who wants to just believe like this is what happened. And I now know history. And if I'm at a party talking about it, I'll sound smart and not just like I saw this one movie. So should I like also read history books about this? Recommend some stuff, you guys, because it is interesting.
That's very, very on point because we've reviewed some films that were based on apparently true events when they say true events.
Right.
And then you find out later it's like mostly true events according to this one poem that this guy wrote. And it was like, it like takes liberties with like who the leaders were because, you know, history's written by the winners, right?
Well, I was going to say, as Americans, we understand like the winners write the books. So,
So you wonder like who was cast as a bad guy may not have been the bad guy. So I'm always interested in, like, love when we do that because you see it and you go, oh, well, this looks really good. And it's like, no, it's not good because this guy is a bad guy. And you
there's a level, there's a level of nuance, a large, I would say, level of nuance that is removed for us as someone who's coming into Indian cinema from outside of it. And I really, it makes me feel really intense feelings to think that I'm ever in the audience watching something and not understanding a layer of context that is like sort of like keeping me from a piece of art. Like, that can be frustrating. And sometimes when we do see the comments that are like, that wouldn't be funny, or this wouldn't be the way you'd react to that, I hate it because I want a spirit guy sitting next to me to be like, this is exactly the nuance of the scene. Like this is with a wink and a nod, or this is like a little satirical. I don't like that being lost on me. So always help us with that too, guys. Like,
we're learning. We're still learning. I mean, we've been reading a lot of Indian films and seen a lot these now, but we're still only into this about like 6 months, maybe at the most. And then Lara and Elizabeth are even less time. So you guys are just a few months on it. So this has been a deep dive. And it's been a revelation because, you know, these films are something I'd never seen before. And so it's been this whole new genre.
I promise you, Kathy, Lara, if y'all had not been like, if the stars had not aligned on the day I got called in to sit on a Cinemondo piano, I don't know that I would have seen any of these movies.
I know, right?
And honest to God, I hate that. Like, I'm like, I feel evangelical a bit in my like, just sort of spread the word about like, because it's like there's an iceberg that we're experiencing the tip of, and there's so much underneath the water that like if you are into film, like Joe Ferry, a friend of all of ours from the Bloody Good Horror community, like if you love film, you just need to be like sitting and binging because it's movies at their kind of like the height and the best that they can be. Some of these that we've seen.
Totally. Yeah, definitely. And, you know, when you say evangelical, it's totally true because we're just totally like it's become the new religion because I'm going to say, have you seen any movies? I'm like, haven't seen RRR?
Take a seat.
I love RRR and Bahubali because those are great entryways into Indian cinema because they have a lushness and a kind of historical context that feels traditional and what you're sort of expecting, but they bring it this whole new, you know, attitude and defiance to them. And then as you go from that, I'm like, okay, now take a shot at, and I'll start listing a little more current and different genres. And people are like, wow, I didn't expect these to be so good. I'm like, that's one of the reasons we're doing this on Cinemondo. And I know people are like, another Indian film? I was like, yes, because these are amazing. And we hadn't seen any of these.
And I don't think that they would be they're not very popular in the States, right? But they're
Why do you think that is?
Because it's not, it's distribution, but it's not really like a thing that
it's not.
It's just so interesting
the
to me.
Western
Like,
public is interested in one because they're 3 hours long, it's hard.
That
to
I do
market
kind of understand.
them
Okay.
To like,
But hey, hold on. We're a nation that read Twilight, the entire series. So let's not talk about the length of something.
but it was
Yeah, but you're right.
Like it was like a 90-minute film or 100. Like
Did you not read the books too? That was hours
no, I
of my
definitely
life.
did.
You know,
I think
Yeah.
part of the barrier is subtitles and
Yep.
just foreign films. They get a lot
Okay.
less
You know
attention.
what?
But
You're
I don't think
exactly
people
right.
have realized how commercial and how
They
relatable and great these are.
I
And
think
it's
there's
cool to see a
still-
different culture. So
I think there's still sort of an association between like that they're going to be these like high art house sort of films if there
Yes.
are subtitles, not Fast and Furious, so to speak, like in your face, huge bonanza, like popcorn movie. And that's what I've been trying to sort of impress on people, because I know people that's like that is the lane they live in as far as what they view. So
exactly.
But also, I don't see the majority of people sitting down for 2.5
well,
hours.
you know,
In a
I'm okay
sitting.
with splitting it up.
That's true.
But I
It's
love
like
I
episodes.
love splitting it up.
But
So I
it's
think
like a
that
limited series.
it's part
Yeah.
of the reason why like they can't be like on demand. Great, but trying to market that to a theater here.
You're right, Lara.
it's-
That's a real
Yeah.
mouthful
you
to give to
can't
somebody. Like,
because here's the thing: you want to go to see this movie in India because it is 115 degrees, and I will
Mhm.
take an air conditioned room for 3
Yeah.
hours.
right.
Like, or even like anywhere in Europe, right? Like Trinidad is where I started seeing them, and it's a
Yeah. That's true.
Super interesting.
hot as balls.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
you don't
God.
want to make it short.
And I will 100% sit in an air conditioned building for $15 for 3 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. But I mean, we're definitely going to impress on people that, you don't have to watch them all at once if you don't want to. I mean,
Yeah.
I encourage people to, but it's not really much longer than a Godfather film or the Batman movie that just came out. It was just as long and not even nearly as entertaining as any of
Yeah,
these films we've seen.
So,
So I'm just saying there are no subtitles, but still, and some of these are dubbed. I know people, it's not ideal,
Yeah.
but if you're really, really finding a barrier to it, you can watch them dubbed, even though that's kind of irritating. I like hearing the language.
I don't like the
Maybe
dub. Yeah.
Yeah, I like hearing the language.
But some people don't. So
As
But-
much as like
it's 'cause
the
you gotta pay
multitasker in
attention.
me so wants to be able to like just glance at another thing in the room and not miss like a chunk of plot.
exactly.
But I think
So you just
that it
wanna
is to
hear
my
it.
benefit that I have to stare at the screen the whole time. I think that's one reason that
Yes.
I retain and enjoy as much of the information they're giving me as I do.
That's right. That's
You
very
can't
true.
really tune out the same way.
So I think this was a great trailer. I think they really, made it look really intense, and they definitely got the idea of the upper and lower cast, which is still ongoing in just about every country. The problems there. So I definitely want to see this, and it looks like there's gonna be a lot of songs in this one because they had like musical written in there. There's
yes.
also they're talking about some songs and some credits. So
I mean,
I'm
I
very,
want a
very
historical
interested.
period piece with like a musical. That just sounds that's cool. I want
So
it. Give it to
So-
me. Thanks.
So there we are. All right. We've seen it. We can't say it, but we've seen it, and we're
Yeah, I can see it kind of.
gonna see this movie. All right. See you guys later.
Bye.